Hello. I want to preface this video by saying that I wrote this almost 1.5 years ago. My sentiments are still mostly the same. It was like an academic paper, so I did have to base it off a lot of research and things like that, and my opinion wasn't necessarily the forefront of the video. So this is less of me. Like, I do insert some parts of me as add-ons to my paper, but it's more of a roundup as a whole, to comment on something that is marketable for getting good grades. Another thing that I wanted to say was that I have been watching a bunch of video essays recently, and so reading this paper, I was like, oh, that's like very similar to the video essay content that I've been watching video essay. So although it's not formatted in that sort of way, I admittedly do not have the patience or like the willingness to go through the trauma of rewriting this piece in a more like casual way. And I'm also horrible at like not following a script. Like, your girl loves a script. I love reading from a script. So sorry that I'm looking at my laptop the whole time. In 1943, American psychologist Abraham Maslow released a theory with regard to human motivation. Maslow coined it the hierarchy of needs. It's a 5-tier pyramid-shaped diagram that notates that which is fundamental to our existence as humans. The pyramid begins by indicating the bodily requirements of a human as an animal, and works its way through to that which is inherently focused on the soulful aspect of our being. The middle segment of this diagram then finds itself somewhere in the midst of both of these ideas, love and belonging. As indicated in the title of the diagram, feeling a sense of love and belonging is something desired and required by all of humanity. This being the case, humans are sometimes willing to go to unbelievable lengths to achieve this third segment. The concept of online dating first emerged in 1995.
So if I've signed up with American Singles, I say, I'm so-and-so, and I'm looking for this kind of person, and I'm busy here working on my word processor, and what happens?
Well, what will happen is a little heart will drop out from the top of the screen here. There it goes, and a heart will hit it.
Boing, we found
Boing.
some connections for you.
Right.
Many people perceived it within this realm of being the most unbelievable, desperate, embarrassing thing that someone could do. Obviously conservative ideas still dominated the social landscape at that time, so it's not hard to conceive that this would be the response to that sort of thing. But now that we're in like this chronically online era, we obviously hold a much more welcoming perspective towards dating sites and falling in love via cyberspace. I know several people, including myself, who have formed relationships with people through these sites. But there is a level of questioning that should come into play with this sort of thing, since it lacks some of the more genuine connection that comes with meeting someone face to face. So is it a positive thing that connecting with someone through a keyboard and matrix of glowing screens has become normalized? What effect might this be having on our notion of love? This video is based on the premise that the emergence of the internet has altered our conception of love and how we experience it. Through online dating apps, social media, and digital marketing, the idea of love being something you must work for is no longer seen as the truth. This is creating a damaging environment where people struggle to form deeper connections and easily forfeit their relationships. In Soren Kierkegaard's The Concept of Anxiety, he deduces that anxiety comes about due to the dizziness of freedom. As one of the critical drivers of postmodernism places a growing emphasis on the importance of individualism, we're facing an increase in choices presented to us in our day-to-day lives, consequently breeding the fundamental mood of anxiety that Kierkegaard writes about. Capitalism then, namely, capitalized on this increase in mental instability by creating a new market surrounding self-improvement. Eva Illouz coins this the commodification of selfhood in her text Cold Intimacies, The Making of Emotional Capitalism. She says emotions have become entities to be evaluated, inspected, discussed, bargained, quantified, and commodified. They are no longer exempt from the capitalist sphere. Nothing is. In the case of online dating, she argues that specifically those platforms that require a subscription fee of sorts are a lasting example of how our emotions are being reduced to something to turn a profit. Such sites turn a population of singles looking for love into a marketplace. They are organized in an algorithm and distributed to potential partners that would be interested. In her text, she also illustrates the idea that nothing is too sacred for capitalism, not even love. One must turn oneself into a product outlining characteristics, hobbies, and features in the hopes that they might be desired by another. The technology afforded to us through online dating apps allows one to be productive in one's search for love, much like the landscape of postmodernism today. Concepts such as speed matching make this abundantly clear. In this scenario, the online dating site Match.com gives the user 4 minutes to get to know a potential match before promptly deciding whether they would like to continue pursuing the person after the time is up. In a way, this type of development in online dating technology has become very necessary. Illouz documents a candidate who said that she began creating files on her laptop to keep track of individual matches. She also identified the in-app organization labels used to help the user track which matches fell into which categories. Things such as hot lists, stars, peaches, and trophies, and flames that read hot. In this way, the potential to find a lifelong partner is reduced to a series of algorithms and data. A plethora of online dating platforms have since chosen to adopt the use of phone application software to improve accessibility. This affords itself once again to the optimization so eagerly sought after. Modernized sites such as Tinder, Hinge, and Grindr find themselves placed alongside applications such as Gmail, Instagram, and the Calendar app, allowing the act of browsing for partners to become homogenized within the daily routine. The commonality and production-like style in which online dating sites operate have dulled love of its wonder, or as Stendhal puts it, its audacity. In On Love, Stendhal identifies that we continue to pursue love despite the pain often associated with or around it. This, in his thinking, is due to two things: our innate desire to give and receive love, relating to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the potentially beautiful interpersonal relationships that can emerge from such feelings. In the Romantic era of literature in the late 1700s, and indeed preceding that era, love was regarded with much more sensitivity than what we are experiencing today. In his Sonnet 116, William Shakespeare says, "Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds." In other words, love is an enduring force. It prevails. It doesn't falter. This starkly contrasts with the way in which we have come to treat love today. This sacrality of love has fallen victim to the greedy nature of capitalism and the culture of optimization, which encircles all that we experience in our day-to-day lives. Expanding on the negative shifts we're seeing with regard to love, there is a sense of expendability being created by the heavily stylized and manufactured nature of dating sites. Due to the abundance of choice created by the digitization of the dating world, modern relationships are no longer nurtured the same way they once were. When we encounter issues with a significant other, it is seen as easily replaceable, and thus one is more likely to end such relationships and go on to pursue another relationship that requires less effort. This transactional aspect of modern day relationships has a detrimental impact towards loving nowadays. In Elusa's text, she provides interviews with people who engage with these online dating sites. One interviewee, Bruce, was asked if he would interact with someone who did not directly adhere to the specific list of qualities and characteristics he put into his dating profile. And he said, no. There are so many choices, infinite choices, that why bother? I will only get in touch with those who correspond exactly to what I want. Such thinking demonstrated here is what lends itself to potentially successful matches being overlooked. Another user of Match.com states, I am looking for somebody, for something that does not exist but is very, very specific. There's a sort of irony here, and it's so plainly stated. Like the fact that the user is so open about the fact that what they want does not exist, but continues to search for it. This criterion that we're constructing is just completely unachievable, and some people know that and continue anyway. It just makes online dating like redundant. It's just a perpetual waste of time, or just, I don't know, a way to pass the time, to have some fun or something. It's just counterproductive. Like, if postmodernism's goal is to be super productive and efficient and optimize everything, then like, girl, what are you doing? You're going against postmodernism, which my stance in this is like not like anti contemporary ideas, but just like, I don't know, like, you don't have to pick a side, but just understand like how your actions are like contradicting each other. I don't know. So the next like text, I watched a video by Oli Sundvia. I think that's how you would say it. And it was on this similar concept, the concept of love. And when I started watching it, I realized that I had explored the text that she was talking about before, and I had deduced my own ideas from the text. So this is that. So Eric Fromm, in his book The Art of Loving, says, is love an art? Then it requires knowledge and effort. Or is love a pleasant sensation which to experience is a matter of chance? Undoubtedly, the majority of people today believe in the latter. Love is something that requires perseverance and dedication. A continual effort is required by one another to cultivate a loving relationship successfully. Due to the increase in automation and our ability to access everything instantaneously, modern society is becoming idle. to anything that requires prolonged time and effort. Fromm further critiques the state of love in modernity, stating, "People think that to love is simple, but that to find the right object to love or to be loved by is difficult." This is a foundational ideology facilitating the online dating sphere. One must embark on a search for love rather than a reciprocal process with the other of creating the foundation for love to arise. In the chapter Love and Its Disintegration in Contemporary Western Society, Fromm explains how contemporary capitalism has been formulated over time to create relationships that work more as an employer-employee dynamic rather than one of personal understanding and harmonious cohabitancy. They never arrive at a central relationship, but rather treat each other with courtesy and attempt to make each other feel better. In postmodernism, the decisive driver of productivity is no longer something that remains within the work sphere, but has permeated our relationship with the other in a harmful way. Now is the part where I talk about the book that everyone knows, or like everyone should know. I don't know, I have conflicting ideas about this text, but I did think that there were some interesting parts that I wanted to contribute into this video. In her novel All About Love, Bell Hooks positions herself and her opinions on love among those of Erich Fromm, along with Scott Peck, whose writings primarily draw from the groundwork laid by Fromm some years beforehand. The idea that one can simply fall in love and have no agency over who they love is a concept that is problematic in her opinion. This idea creates the illusion that love is unpredictable and out of our control when, indeed, quoting Peck, Hooks offers that love is an act of will, both in intention and action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. This also then draws back to the innate human need to have that loving connection, to make our lives feel meaningful. Applying this to a postmodern society, it is revealed that the opposing perspective can once again lead to the ideas of dating and love losing the sense of wonderment once valued so dearly. One may assume that if they do not click when meeting a potential partner, then the project of finding love is better undertaken elsewhere with another someone. Another amazing mind responding to the effects of modernity on love in this similar way is Alain Badiou. Alain Badiou, I'm going with that. Who says that all that is true is rare and difficult. Badiou expresses his thoughts on how consumerist culture alters our perspective on love in the poignant film The Question of Love.
Si finalement le seul motif de l'action humaine, c'est de satisfaire ses envies et ses intérêts, c'est quand même l'idée dominante dans le monde contemporain. Si c'est ça l'humanité, alors en effet l'amour peut être considéré comme un danger.
Similarly to Fromm, he sees love and a successful relationship as something two people must arrive at through applying effort. He speaks of love being an extra dimension of the world. In its purest form, love is this passage from one to two in the experience of life itself. This seems to work synonymously with Fromm's expression of arriving at a central relationship when in love. Badiou also agrees with Stendhal's concept of the audacity to love and says online dating counteracts the vital aspect of relationships. In searching a database for singles, for someone who fulfills our criteria for a partner, we seek a satisfaction guarantee that can be paralleled with consumerist ideology, like some kind of business contract. Specifically, when we look for someone who shares the same interests, goals, morals, wishes, whatever else as ourselves, we become closed off to the adventure of love. Badiou believes that in searching for something specific in a partner such as these, we begin to contradict the very definition of love, eradicating the sense of risk and the requirement of courage. It is precisely because of the role that chance plays that love can have a creative dimension, a dimension that Badiou deems as both exciting and universally understood. Dating in the age of consumerism has become very manufactured in this sense. We are calculating how to maximize a relationship with another. Thus, loving is losing the whimsy that makes it so beautiful and such an awesome requirement for us as humans. Obviously, I have a script written on my laptop, and sometimes I think about diverting from the script, but then I feel like I would just go on a long tangent that wouldn't make any sense. So forgive me if I just am like getting lost in the source. I'm trying to be really like awesome and funny, but I just write in a really like academic way. So I'm sorry if I use a lot of big words. This phenomenon of relationships being viewed as disposable does not end with dating sites. Social media, no shit, also plays a key role. Social media applications like TikTok, even like YouTube couples that like vlog together, YouTube families and whatever. They're used to like promote people's relationships. Digital influencers produce stylized content that flaunt their perfect relationship and all the gifts and OMG, like, look what my man did. Look what my man, OMG. Sorry, that was kind of mean. Flaunting their perfect relationship and thus idyllic and easy lifestyle. There is also the potential for people with platforms to begin a romantic relationship with another person that's just a publicity stunt and isn't real at all, but is painted to be like, oh my god, like I want what they have. When people view such content, they may create a false narrative that the relationship they have with their partner is not good enough, that it should aim to replicate these couples in their perfect TikTok videos. So once again, people are inclined to give up on pursuing love with their current partner when the honeymoon phase is over. And if they begin to encounter like any struggles, you know, like, OMG, he did this one thing, red flag, cut off, get rid of him, replace him. People comment on those types of videos being like, oh, well, I'm just gonna throw myself off a bridge. And like, true, like, that's funny. That's a funny thing to say. But it's also kind of sad. Because those couples are probably having hella problems, dude. Like, sure, they can have good moments. I'm not hating. I'm not saying they're lying. But like, obviously every couple should have their good moments. But like, do people struggle too? It's not always going to look like that. You know, you don't want to jump off a bridge every time. Every time you don't want to jump off a bridge, because sometimes relationships will be hard and you have to apply work. This is why I don't deviate from my script, because I end up going on extremely long tangents. Next part. In Jean-Paul Sartre's Being and Nothingness, he illustrates an idea coined the look of the other. This idea denotes that, on the surface, our relationship with the other is one of objectivity. We lack understanding of who they are or their knowledge, and thus viewing them in an objective manner is the only way we know how. To come to know someone more intimately, we must develop an awareness of the look. In being mindful of said look, we have a heightened potential to engage in love with the other. Our relationship with the other in love is then one of subjectivity, where we are opened up to another dimension of thought. Not only do we consider ourselves, but we also consider the other. Considering how our social media profiles have become an online depiction of ourselves, it is fair to say that although it has less direct purpose than dating profiles, we continue to market ourselves on a more open scale through digital media. The synthesis of shortcomings of digital communication and the static nature of our online social media profiles has the potential to perpetuate our relationships with the other as an objective one. By annulling the body in online interactions, we prohibit the ability to experience the look of the other, which, as articulated by Sartre, is what enables us to experience feelings of shame or pride, which ultimately opens us up to being in love with the other and being viewed by the other as subject rather than object. In Ava Iluza's text, she reflects that through the disembodiment of technology, one has the ability to be far more authentic, genuine, and compassionate, as it enables a fuller expression of one's authentic self. This obviously opposes the ideas that Sartre put forward. However, later in the text, Illouz highlights some issues that contrast with those ideas that she just put forward. She indicates that from a sociological standpoint on emotions, there's a problem that can arise in the thoughts on disembodiment being of benefit. Emotions in general and romantic love in particular are grounded in the body. Sweaty palms, quickening heart, reddening cheeks, shaking hands, and the list goes on. Are we then to deduce that love cannot occur without the initial visceral reactions that come with nervousness? Must we be nervous to have feelings for another? We experience such physical responses in these situations due to what Hartmut Rosa has termed resonance. He recognizes that such responses are a part of the self-efficacy one encounters when one resonates with something, or in this case, someone. Thus, I would like to suggest that although online dating sites allow us to become familiar with another before meeting them, it does not mean we cannot experience those jitters that come with first meetings, as it does not prohibit our ability to resonate with the other deeply. I feel like also to give myself some credibility, why the fuck would you listen to me? During the time when I was first conceiving of this idea, when I was looking at Eric Fromm's text and bell hooks and all of that stuff and reading all this information about online dating, I was in a long distance relationship that came from online dating, and we didn't meet each other until 3 months into us talking. So I certainly know that the visceral reactions that come with the jitters of first meeting someone do still apply 100%. Another point Illouz raises is that there seems to be an emphasis placed on physical appearance through online dating sites to the point where they may appear even more shallow than chance interactions with the other in daily life. In the process of self-presentation, physical appearance acquires a new and almost poignant importance in the photo usually posted near one's profile. She indicates that, as is ever present in postmodernism, beauty standards decided upon by capitalist society are imposing alternate truths on the idea that dating apps are a way of interacting with a potential partner's authentic self, void of the cosmetic pressures in place by society. However, in my opinion, online dating still seems to be a somewhat more genuine form of interaction with the other than that of in-person ones. If we consider what offline dating might look like now, say you get a compliment from a stranger about your physical appearance, or you're asked for your phone number, something like that. I would say that that's more focused on vanity than internet interactions. Because that interaction is purely based on physical attraction. There's no previous knowledge of each other that's been established. Like, they could literally be a neo-Nazi. Like, it's 100% judging a book by its cover. And you see that book and you're like, hell yeah, I wanna ride that book. I wanna read that book. The ideas on the disembodiment afforded to us by digital interactions with the other and their impact on developing more profound, more meaningful connections offer an interesting insight into how someone suffering from self-image issues may benefit from online dating, where they can present themselves, as it were, through a single image and allow the other to come to know their authentic self before physically interacting with them. It's like referencing this concept that, like, someone becomes more attractive when you actually get to know them and know what they're about. And, you know, sure, you may only have like a very limited set of photos to look at them through, but then when you actually see them in person, you see them animated, and you know that what is inside of them is also lit as well. Then it's just so much better. It's so much nicer. The world is a better place. These insights seem to be particularly true in the case of queer people. Molly Smith's review of queer women's use of mobile dating applications indicated that the ability one has to self-identify their sexual orientation is a really helpful feature in a society where identifying someone as queer through their physical appearance is, you know, recognized as problematic. And you know, you're assuming someone's identity based on how they look. In addition to this, asking someone outright what their goals are in a relationship, i.e. they're after something short-term and casual, or long-term and super-duper serious, they want to get married and have 8 kids tomorrow. That can be a really daunting question to ask. Because if you guys don't have that same thing off the get-go, then I guess this leads into the optimization thing. It's like, well, I'm wasting my time because you want to have kids tomorrow and I just want to get on my freak shit. You know what I mean? Further noted is that app structures and accompanying risks mirror and amplify the issues queer women face in the offline world. queer women were identified as more likely to present themselves in a more inauthentic way due to the hesitation that they might be targeted by scammers or harassed, which thus led to a sense of uncertainty when it came to meeting matches in person. This highlights the potential for online dating site users to be deceived by another person. And this potential deters many people from engaging with such sites. Undoubtedly, people who encounter someone who has deceptively marketed themselves online would become more tentative about engaging in intimate relationships via the internet. In fact, the sheer potential of being deceived provides a very legitimate reason of why people choose to avoid the platforms altogether. For those who do partake in the online dating scene, however, they are likely to still consider the possibility that they're talking to someone who's being disingenuous. And so, until further confirmation is undertaken, stalking their Instagram, seeing how many mutuals you guys have on Instagram. This can hinder people from developing a deeper emotional connection with that person. There's just a certain hesitancy involved in not wanting to distribute too much information or become vulnerable with someone potentially posing as someone they're not. Because I'm not trying to tell an 80-year-old man about my intimate personal life. I feel like I'm getting more and more delusional as this video continues, and that is a sign that I need to go to bed. But alas, I shall continue. Another primary part of the digital sphere that is playing a significant role in the commodification of the self, particularly that of love, is through digital marketing. The emotional capitalism detailed in Ava Iluza's text identifies that market ideology has permeated our human relationships, creating difficulty in the separation of romantic feelings and consumer experiences. The mindset created through digital marketing makes parallels between materialistic romantic gestures and the level of affection for the other, saying things like, if he wanted to, he would. Ideology such as this may create a more troublesome outlook on love, where one must buy someone's love rather than cultivate it through prolonged efforts and emotional connection. And this is just such a shit way of being like, oh, you can't take me on a trip to Bora Bora. If he wanted to, he would. Like, no, girl. You gotta be realistic. Like, the if he wanted to, he would thing baffles my brain. Anywho, let's talk about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day has become a clear example of the capitalist culture in the expression of love. It perpetuates the idea that one must participate in capitalist society to express love. Additionally, another catalytic effect of Valentine's Day is the publicity of it all. Many couples turn to social media to profess their love and appreciation for one another, or flaunt extravagant romantic gestures that their partner has planned for them or purchased for them. Such actions become problematic when, although it may not be recognized at the time, that couple is just playing into the performative nature of the holiday. They could be having hella problems. Just because they have money doesn't mean that their relationship is thriving. The pressure to publicize one's romantic relations continues to distort the views we hold on love today. The comparison culture created through the implementation of digital media in postmodern society continues to have adverse reactions towards our perspective of love on love in this way. So, in acknowledging everything that I've just spilled my guts about, my mouth is literally so dry from talking so much, so I'm gonna stop talking, I promise. We can see that our human emotions and relationships are just becoming martyrs for the cause of digital optimization and productivity, and just capitalist society in general. And obviously all this is being pushed by social media. That's like the main thing that I guess I wanted to articulate. I don't think online dating sites are a problem. I have had so many fabulous experiences with online dating platforms. But I just think that the way that we have all this access to all of these people and all their lives, and the way that those people have the ability to filter what goes onto their page, what goes out onto the internet, just means that there's a lot more fake behavior, and just false information that a lot of people are taking as truth. And it's just skewing our ability to form meaningful connections, which is really shit.